Welcome to the Akashic Reading Podcast, presented by AkashicReading.com, the place where you can learn to access your soul's wisdom, or at least stop digging the hole any deeper. I'm your host, Terry Uktana, and today we'll be exploring the area of the Akashics which provides winged beings entry to the Akashic Library called the Eyrie. It's a place of connecting deeply with the past, with the deep roots of things, and experiencing how the living fire of our life force creates the upward lift which supports us all. Most people who know about or work with the Akashics deal almost exclusively with the Akashic Library and the records stored there. Within the library, there are records of every soul which has ever come into existence and everything which has ever happened in their lives. There's also records on every topic and all aspects of existence from corporations to stellar phenomena. Everything which has ever happened and is happening now exists in its records, and there are beings called librarians who dedicate their attention and efforts to its continued functioning. Other beings, including we who are embodied, utilize the library for a great many purposes such as self-improvement. Unfortunately, in the past few centuries or so, people have come to believe this is all the Akashics contain and that it can only be accessed via the help of the librarians or other beings who mediate on our behalf. Luckily, this is not actually the case. The Akashics is not just about books and information, but is a vast landscape full of various ecologies, civilizations, and life forms, only some of which are humanoid. There is one grand city, and this is where the Akashic Library resides, yet most of the Akashics are without any architectural structures at all. This doesn't mean it's a wilderness of chaos or without form. There are gardens of every variety, fields cultivated for every reason imaginable, areas designated simply for play and joy and happiness, and others which exist simply to exist. As life grows increasingly chaotic and events unfold with amazing speed, approaching life from a problem-solving or stop-the-pain method can seem like bailing a sinking boat with a thimble or trying to run through a food fight with a napkin for protection. Working with aspects of the Akashics which offer a different perspective or more holistic wisdom can create clearer, more coherent, and practical solutions which therefore allow us to stop the cycle of reaction and counter-reaction, and instead move forward through the chaos to manifest our goals in life successfully. Many of us reach a point where we feel there must be more to life than this, more to us than just the daily grind. Or sudden changes in our lives call into question what we've been doing and what we should do next. In times like these, our hearts can break open, and we can feel a calling to be our authentic selves, even when we have no idea what this might actually be. Looking for new options or opportunities and what is possible means approaching ourselves, the Akashics, and the current phase of our life with openness and possibly curiosity. I liken this to the unfolding of a flower, like a lotus or a rose. If we're looking to find more of our potential, to explore what we're capable of, or how we can empower ourselves to be more fully our enlightened, evolved selves, then it's helpful to experience the Eyrie. In a purely functional sense, the Eyrie is the main avian or winged entrance to the Akashic Library. High on the top of a mountain is a large, flat landing space directly in front of a cave entrance. There are many rock outcroppings and stone perches for winged beings of all sizes to land and rest on. Inside the cave is a large gathering area with ancient teachings on the walls in draconic languages. Beyond this is what appears to be a huge round stone structure in which a fire burns. The firelight glows yellow and red against the walls and throws the beings around it into shadow. Here is a place where stories are shared and myths are woven into being. Beyond this is the passageway which leads down into the mountain and to the Akashic Library proper. Much more than all this, the Eyrie is a place where souls can unfold themselves in their winged forms and explore their winged nature and the experiences and wisdom it provides. Put another way, this is a place where people can be, not just see, their winged totem. To understand what a totem truly is, the first thing to recognize is in saying you have a totem, you're referring to a relationship in the same way you would say you have a spouse, a significant other, or children. It's not a statement of ownership, but a connection. To have a totem is to have a relationship with another being who can be a best friend, mentor, therapist, playmate, companion, mirror, and much more. Totems are beings who can work with us in a variety of ways. In the Akashics, as guides to us like other spiritual support, and also in the physical, manifesting as visions or connecting with representatives of themselves here. For example, someone with deer totem might see deer in their dreams as a means of confirming a decision they've made, may have them show up during Akashic work to lead them in an unexpected but advantageous direction, or may find they are never lost in the wild because they can always find deer, elk, or moose paths which lead them to their destination. A deer might even cause traffic snarls which prevent them from getting into negative situations, or may appear in their yard to tell them their fears about a something are unfounded or greatly founded, depending. On another level, totems are keys to the nature we're expressing in this particular embodiment. A person who has skunk totem will have a very sweet, loving, and even gregarious personality. They'll enjoy the company of others, but not appreciate even well-meaning advice. They will have boundaries which are very clearly defined, but these will more than likely be nonverbal, expressing in gestures, in facial expressions, in body postures, and in the type of clothes and accessories they wear. This type of person will be flexible to a point, but once a boundary has been crossed, their reaction will be swift and nuclear, as it were. This can seem like overkill to those on the receiving end, and they will constantly be told by others they overreact, but in reality, they're being true to themselves and the situation. The lesson is to believe a skunk person the first time they warn you and have a healthy respect for their boundaries. Even bears and wolves know to keep their distance from their skunk cousins and play with them respectfully. Every living person has not just one totem, but 7. 4-legged, winged, swimmer, creepy crawler, tree, herb, and mineral. Together, these can be considered the 7 aspects of our being, or associated with the 7 chakras, or as residing in the 7 directions of the medicine wheel: east, south, west, north, Mother Earth, Father Sky, and indwelling spirit. Just to point out a few ways we can form a relationship with totems. Usually, when people think about winged creatures, they think of birds. There are thousands of kinds of birds, from seabirds to flightless birds, raptors, migrators, scavengers, you name it, it's out there. From hummingbirds to pygmy owls, from ostriches to eagle owls, there's a bird which fits any mood or at least one for every type of personality. Birds are one of the more common and easily accessible of winged creatures. However, they're not the only kind of being in the category. There are winged insects, such as dragonflies, moths, and butterflies, who have as many types as birds, if not more. There are fish that fly. However, they use fins to do this, not wings, so they don't count in this discussion. There are mammals who fly, such as bats, which have wings and use them quite effectively, most often for catching insects. Although flying squirrels do seem to fly, they use flaps of skin to glide rather than flying, as their names imply, so they too are off the list. Sorry, squirrels, but happy for bats. Totems are not limited to creatures which can be seen in your neighborhood or on nature shows. There are those who have totems which are not as accessible, but are just as impactful and iconic. For example, dragons have been a part of a great many cultures all over the globe, either as revered symbols of wisdom or terrifying forces of destruction. Dragons come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, from the great sages and mystics of Chinese culture to the elemental forces of Northern Europe to the forces of destruction in English literature. So much has been written about dragons that libraries could be formed on this subject alone, and there's plenty of art in all genres to satisfy our appetites, and more created every day. Dragons are only limited by what you can imagine, and even then, they are more than you could ever dream. For beauty, there's very little which compares to the white-winged stallion of mythology, the Pegasus. Pegasi combine the freedom and majesty of horses with the ability to fly. I'm sure that, like all horses, they come in a range of colors, sizes, and types. While it's hard to imagine a sturdy percheron flying lightly through the sky, perhaps their wings are wider and broader than most. Where magic and the heart are concerned, all is possible. And most captivating of all may be angels. Those beings out of Judaic Christian lore which look like humans but are able to defy Earth's gravity and therefore its issues and responsibilities by spreading their wings and flying. So while I've just suggested a host of winged creatures, this is by no means an exhaustive list. And while everyone has a winged totem, this doesn't mean you're limited to only one. Winged totems or beings can work with us for specific seasons of our lives or certain tasks. We can unfold more of ourselves and find we have multiple winged totems to support our expansion and help guide our path. Working with the Eyrie is a way in which we can explore different value systems or perspectives. Shifting into a winged form encourages us to let go of being rooted and relating to gravity through our feet. As a creature of air, our feet become a means for gripping and grabbing, while our wings become what supports us. And it's air which holds us up rather than earth. Flight becomes about being in love with the sky and feeling air intimately, so it seems as if we're swimming rather than controlling a fall. It's about fully empowering ourselves to navigate our life freely and successfully no matter which way the wind blows. From a height, with the freedom of flight, we can see ourselves and the world very differently. With a shift in how our limbs and body work, we can feel what we want and need to shift in our lives, not from a place of our human intelligence or logic, but from winged wisdom. The Eyrie provides a means for wingeds to gather together and connect deeply. It's a place for teaching ancient wisdom about Akasha and how it manifests, and can be woven into new patterns for implementing in this now. It's also a place of connecting deeply with the past, with the deep roots of things, and experiencing how the living fire of our life force creates that upward lift which supports us all. For those who wish to explore the Eyrie for themselves, I've created a guided meditation on my YouTube channel, and I'll leave a link to it in the podcast description. And that's all the time we have this week. If you're interested in knowing more, check out my website, akashicreading.com. Thank you to my patron of honor this week, Ingrid Grace. If you're enjoying this podcast, please consider supporting it by subscribing on Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can join in weekly patron-only classes, see all my other offerings, and get regular updates about what I'm working on at patreon.com/TerryUktana. Thanks. Bye.